There
What's
we
up,
go.
everybody? Welcome to Week 16 Fantasy Championship season. Brian Twining and I are live, hopefully helping you lock in those playoff spots, lock in that fantasy championship, uh, be a part of you hoisting that trophy. I hopefully will be a part of hoisting my own trophy. I'm playing my championship starting this week, 2 week playoffs, so I have to go into the dreaded Week 17, but we could talk about that for another day. Brian Twining, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And like you said, I'm in 2 championship games today in both of my home leagues. And in one of them, I am fortunate enough to have had Mr. Alvin Kamara on Friday. So it was a nice Christmas present for me to jump out to a pretty substantial lead and then have Darren Waller last night go off for over 100 receiving yards. So I'm
Yeah,
feeling pretty good about myself.
yeah, you're in quite the spot. I am facing the trio of Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, and Darren Waller at this point. So
Whew.
things are going swimmingly. But luckily, that is why I played 2 weeks, because even in a matchup where Alvin Kamara scores 6 touchdowns,
Yep.
it gives you a chance to try and make up that. If you make up a little ground this week, make up a little ground next week, you're off and running.
And before
Uh,
we keep going, I want to also pat myself on the back again. We told you to sign Jeff Wilson weeks ago, only to watch him go off for almost a 30 spot in
yep.
week 16 of fantasy championships. And if you had, heeded our words and added him to the end of your bench, you're sitting pretty right now.
Yep. Yep. No. We did okay. We got some names in there. We also did miss some, and that's gonna happen. But
Yeah, that's
let's talk some stuff. Let's talk some active and inactive. So let's talk with the Giants. Daniel Jones is starting. Um, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's interesting. Baltimore gonna have a field day with this situation.
yeah. So I think that this definitely offers up a little bit more upside for Giants pieces, and in terms of the Giants like team total, with the possibility of them, going downfield a little bit more with Daniel Jones. But I think for me, this just opens up the opportunity for more turnovers for Baltimore to create, which means I like Baltimore's team total even more now. I think that this game might be one of those sneaky over spots where Baltimore's offense just steamrolls the Giants with a lot of short fields.
Yeah.
So, I think this definitely benefits the Ravens, and I'm actually more inclined to bet the Ravens against the line now than I would have been with a Colt McCoy back there, as crazy as that sounds.
No, I agree. Colt McCoy brings safety and reliability that
Yep.
Daniel Jones doesn't offer. Now, Daniel Jones is probably the one that if they're going to flip this game around and win it, he would be the guy. But
Yes.
yeah. And then from the Ravens' perspective, Mark Ingram is a healthy scratch. More J.K. and Gus Edwards.
It's your boys' time today, baby. It's J.K. Dobbins' show. And finally, week 16, all of us that have been waiting with him, using him the past few weeks, he's been good. But yeah, no, this is going to be the Dobbins is going to show out today. I don't think that they're going to have any reason to have to air the ball out this week for the Ravens. And yeah, if you even have Gus Edwards, I think he's a great streamer this week. If you're in a bind, I think he's in a great spot to also possibly find the end zone.
Yep. Let's see who else. Oh, that's cool. Let's talk about the Washington football team. What's going on there? Like Gibson's out, McLaurin's out. What are they doing at quarterback? Like I feel like there's a lot of stuff there, and it might be a situation that like if you start any pieces from that game, it's all on Carolina's side of the ball.
Well, so Gibson is expected to play.
Oh, he is.
And yes, so for me, I might be a little bit higher on Gibson, possibly because he's on one of my home league teams. So of course, I kind of need him to do well. But it's kind of the same feeling I had about George Kittle yesterday. Is that guys like this, especially in Washington's case, where they've had suitable fill-ins over the last week at running back position, but they're not going to play Antonio Gibson unless they feel like he can take on a sizable workload this week, especially in a game that if they win, they potentially, I think they lock up the division. So why are they going to rush this guy back if they can
Yeah.
still win the division next week? So I'm not worried about Gibson. I'm a little worried about Carolina's offensive pieces because Washington's defense has been so good, and Washington, they're going up against the Panthers' run D that has been terrible, and they just may keep the ball out of Dwayne Haskins' hands and just run the clock the entire game.
Yep. Oh, so we have a full PPR. We need a flex. We got Marvin Hall. We got Tyron Johnson. We got Wayne Gallman. And we got Tony Pollard. And we have Noah Fant.
Ooh.
So Zeke's playing, right? Like
That's what they say. But I mean, again, this is a late spot here. It's a 125 start time. So that's kind of why in situations like this, if you have Tony Pollard, I'm finding any way possible that you have another guy who is, good to play in that spot. Because if Zeke's a surprise inactive, how do you not play Tony Pollard in a 3-down workhorse role? So in this case, for this question right now, for me, I'm putting Fant in because I do think that he is their number one target right now for the Broncos. He offers the best matchups against any defense. And then if Zeke is a surprise inactive, you pivot to Tony Pollard.
Yep. The only problem is the Cowboys game's at 125 and the Broncos game's at 105. So you want about 12:30 be monitoring the news. But yeah, I like that idea, Brian, because obviously your best play, your biggest upside play is Tony Pollard in a full go situation. I also don't hate Tyron Johnson. This Broncos secondary has been interesting, and the Chargers receivers are just banged up across the board. So putting in a guy who could have another solid game, I don't hate that either. So yeah, I think full PPR. So maybe you hope that Fant kind of gets peppered with targets, but That's when Alberto and all the other tight ends they have on that roster score all the points, and Fant's just there holding and blocking.
Yep. Yeah. I want to hit on that Browns game real quick. With all those wide receivers being ruled out, everyone's just kind of assuming that Marvin Hall, who's the healthiest guy who was on the roster, mind you, this is a dude that played the majority of the season in Detroit for a passing offense that is predicated on play action rollout to the tight ends. Yeah, honestly, the only offensive pieces in this game that I like are Hunt, Chubb, Austin Hooper, and to a lesser degree, both David Njoku and Harrison Bryant, who I think offer up, good athleticism on the outside. And Harrison Bryant, who is kind of a hybrid wide receiver tight end to begin with, if you're looking at making any sort of prop bets today, his total receptions is only 2.5. His yards are barely, I think it's 19.5. I think Harrison Bryant, if you're looking at, you need a high upside tight end, I think he could have a wide receiver style 4 to 5 receptions today for about 50, 60 yards and possibly find the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something I will take a gander at here shortly and see if I can't find something. Let's talk about Tyree Kill. This is a guy who over the past couple weeks has had little things. Seems like he's dealing with a hamstring injury. They're saying no, it's cramping, and they've been working him out on the sidelines and all this stuff. If Tyreek's on your team, you're playing him, but is there reason for concern that if this game gets lopsided early, they rest him more as they're looking at the playoffs? Or do you think this is a full go, Chiefs all the way, and then week 17 is the week where they just don't do anything?
Well, so that I've been kind of contemplating that all week because I was looking at Mecole Hardman, and I like Mecole Hardman today in DFS for this reason, is that, this is a spot where Kansas City's double-digit favorite here at home in a game that's going to see high winds, lead to turnovers with Matt Ryan's noodle arm, and they clinch a first-round bye with a victory here, and if they're out to a sizable lead with the pieces that they have on offense, why are they going to risk Tyree Kill severely injuring something? So I'm looking at definitely a half of football he'll be playing, and I do see him rotating in and out a little bit more. But a guy like Tyree Kill, all it takes is 2 receptions, and he's got 80 yards and 2 TDs. So you're obviously playing him. But again, if you're in need of a blow-up play or a guy who has a huge day, it's somebody like a Mecole Hardman or even a Sammy Watkins who could kind of take on those vacated targets there.
Yeah. Let's talk about another receiver who is dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury, and that's Allen Robinson. Mitchell Trubisky's back under center. I think that's a good thing for Robinson, but and with
It is a revenge game today too.
Yep. And so we're going on. I wanted to go off of this question. So Allen Robinson's hamstring and AJ Brown's ankle plus the weather. Do we start Gio? Are we worried about either? So are you worried? Let's start with Allen Robinson. Are you worried about Allen Robinson if he's on your team? Are you comfortable putting him in your roster and
Definitely. Okay. I think when it comes down to guys like this, the most important pieces on teams for teams that are trying to win and they can lock up or get in better playoff positioning, these guys are not playing unless they're going to be able to contribute to the game. Like Allen Robinson, he's not going out there to be a decoy. He's going to be the number one guy. Maybe he plays slightly lesser snaps, but when they're in the red zone, Allen Robinson is going to be in there, and he has the potential to catch a jump ball for a touchdown. So you're playing him.
Same with AJ Brown. Are you worried about the ankle? Worried about that weather?
I'm not worried about the weather here. I think the weather actually helps out the offensive players because if there's any kind of snow and footing is difficult, the wide receivers know where they're going and the corners don't.
So would you start Gio Bernard, T.Y. Hilton, or Corey Davis over either of them?
The only one I would do is possibly look at Corey Davis in this spot because it's likely that Jair Alexander is on A.J. Brown, who is the Packers' best corner. But other than that, no, I'm comfortable rolling with A.J. and A-Rob.
I think you roll with the guys that got you here at this point. Like Corey Davis has been amazing, and if you could find a way to put him in, I would. But I think they're both in fine spots, even with the weather in Lambeau. I think the offense will be fine. Okay, so we need to pick one for half PPR, Brian. We got Darnell Mooney, we got Jalen Reagor, we got Sterling Shepard, and we got Kiki QT.
I've talked about him before, but I do kind of like Darnell Mooney. He's been seeing, an increase in targets here. The aforementioned A-Rob is dealing with a tight hamstring. We don't know if that's going to limit him at all. And as much as I love A-Rob, if Chicago jumps out to a huge lead again in this game that they should, maybe it's Darnell Mooney who is playing the majority of the snaps as the number one wide receiver here. And, you're looking at 4 to 5 catches.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Mooney, and unfortunately Nick Foles couldn't throw it within 5 feet of him, so it would be a bit of a challenge for him to be productive. Now with Trubisky under center, he's obviously been playing well. I kind of like, okay, so what are we, like, who's the pass catchers to own in Philly? Because I feel like it was Travis Fulgham for a while.
I'm not touching any of the guys on the outside. I like Zach Ertz today. I don't know why everybody's talking shit about Zach Ertz, but I mean, dude saw 7 targets last week. Yeah, he only caught 2, but he had 40 receiving yards. So he's still a downfield threat. He's been there the longest playing with Jalen Hurts among all of these guys other than Reagor. And, that offense is 2 tight end sets pretty much every single down. So I'm not touching Reagor today, especially with Djax coming back.
Yeah. Man, it's a weird situation because you feel like you have an idea on who the number one receiver is, and it just keeps rotating every couple weeks. And what are we doing with the Texans? Like, obviously I kind of talked to you about my issue with Terry McLaurin. So right now I have Brandon Cooks penciled in. Are we comfortable with Deshaun Watson against the Bengals just having a monster day and Cooks and QT and maybe Jordan Akins eating, or what do we think of this situation?
I like QT today, but and I do like the Bengals also. I like their offensive pieces today with Brandon Allen returning. He is an upgrade over Ryan Finley. No matter what anybody says, it's disgusting to say, but I do think that Allen will provide a little bit more downfield passing for the Bengals. And, this is a spot where if Cincinnati's offense can be competent and put up some points here, you're looking at another smash Deshaun Watson game where they're having to push the pace. And QT, he's been kind of that check down guy. He's seen plenty of targets in the red zone recently, as Brandon Cooks is the guy who's been faded out in the red zone. So, QT offers really good touchdown upside as well.
So am I going to be a sucker for going back to Gio Bernard this week?
I worry about that because if they get behind, like last week, I know they were winning the majority of the game, but he only had one target. And most of the time, Gio's game is based on his receiving ability. I mean, maybe with Tyler Boyd out, Gio Bernard sees more work in the passing game, but I'd worry about him duplicating that kind of performance.
So, so we had a question about Mooney and QT and kind of what kind of their floor. I think QT offers a much safer floor, especially
Yes.
with any sort of PPR league. I expect more of a volume, but I think Mooney offers a higher upside. Like he could be, but that could affect Allen Robinson. So I'm not really sure how to deal with that. Yeah. So if you're just looking for safety and you need I need 4 or 5 catches, 50 yards, maybe a touchdown, QT is absolutely your answer because this is a nice matchup for that passing offense, even after what we saw last week against Pittsburgh. Like the Bengals defense we saw last week is not the Bengals defense we're gonna see and that we've seen this week. And I think the Texans offense gets rolling this week and looks really good.
And with Cincinnati's number one corner Jackson likely shadowing Brandon Cooks, it's Cooks is still going to eat, but Deshaun Watson may tend to look elsewhere in this game, going up against lesser defenders, and that'll be QT, Chad Hansen, Jordan Akins, and a lot of David Johnson. So I'm right with Kyle here. I think QT offers a safer floor.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Let's see what else we got going on. It is interesting to see. I think this week and next week, I think we'll see a lot of even like the bad teams set up stuff for future. It is interesting that the Jags are going back to Mike Glennon. I mean, clearly trying to lock in that Trevor Lawrence. James Robinson is also out. It's going to be gross for Jacksonville.
I think this game might set up good. Like, I'm not playing any of them, and I have a hard time picking which one is going to do it in DFS, but everyone thinks that the Bears defense is the 85 version, and, they're good, but I don't see a game where they're going to completely shut down Jacksonville. I do think that some of the pieces on the outside offer some decent potential. Like if you want to roll with a DJ Chark in DFS, I think he's a good play. I like Chenault today to have a few receptions. I'm not touching the backfield with Dario Buglianile and Devin Ozaboingo. Man, leave it to Jacksonville to have the most difficult names to say.
Yeah, they got some names. So based on the betting line, the Jags are 8.5-point underdogs at home, and the money is coming in on Jacksonville. So they expect Jacksonville to do stuff today. And maybe, I don't know. Like
I think that's more based on Mitchell Trubisky playing quarterback than it is Jacksonville's offense.
Mike Glennon is playing quarterback. Mike Glennon's terrible. Is it just because they think he's going to like Colt McCoy's way to like not really killing the team? They throw enough, they keep it interesting, and it's within a touchdown?
Honestly, I think it's just because they're going to have to get away from the running game a little bit more, and there's going to be a lot more passing. I don't know. It's in Florida. A lot of teams struggle, especially a northern hemisphere team like the Bears coming from super cold weather, going down the swampy Jacksonville. Who knows? Maybe they're getting cramps, and I don't know. I'm not touching the Bears against the line, though. Not as a road favorite. Don't 2 scores with Mitchell Trubisky as your quarterback. There's too many variables that can cause that to not go well.
Jacksonville plus 8.5. It is.
Yeah.
Let's roll through anything else that is jumping out to you. Anything else you want to make sure?
We hit on? So this is going to be my Sunday special lock here. The Jets team total right now is sitting at 19.5. I hope you hammer that right now in a game that the Browns have no weapons on the outside. There's no passing game going to be happening for the Browns. And the Jets defense without Quinnen Williams is not going to be able to stop the Browns running game. So this game is going to be one of the slower paced games of the day. The Jets offense is one of the least efficient in the NFL. Pretend like that last week didn't happen. That's every team has their one, shining day. But this is a game that I likely see playing out into like the 17-13 range for the Browns, or even the Browns scoring 23, 24 points, but having like 35 to 40 minutes of time of possession here. So I don't think the Jets are going to have enough opportunities to even score 3 times today.
Okay. I like where your head's at. Let's see.
Because I don't think it's been adjusted for all of the wide receivers being
so it opened so the total for the game opened at 48. It's down to 43 and a half, 44, 44 and a half, depending on where you look. Hold on.
While Kyle sneezes, I also found some anomalies. So check out the game totals and then look at the team totals and the lines. So before we elaborate on the Browns here, I noticed that the Steelers are currently sitting as a 1-point dog. No, they were a 1-point favorite, but they had a lesser team total than the Colts on one of the books that I saw. So for me, I'm going to bet the team total over, because if they're a favorite, they should be scoring more than the opponent.
So the Jets right now are getting pounded on the over per the book we use. So if I bet under 19 and a half, it's -1.
Exactly. I don't see. Yes, the Jets looked better last week, but that was in a game where the Rams were not able to establish the ground game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
it's
no
the Jets. Like they don't play good games in a row for
exactly.
Okay. And then the Browns team total 26 and a half. That the under is getting pounded there. But then so what's 26 and a half, 19 and a half?
It's like 47, 46.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It doesn't make any sense. They don't adjust them properly.
That is interesting. It's very, very interesting. Any other anomalies I should take advantage of this week?
Well, I was looking at, like, if you're looking at player props, a couple of them that I really love this week are both T. Higgins and AJ Green's receiving yards prop in a game against the Texans defense that have no corners, and in a spot where they're double-digit underdog on the road here, the Bengals. I don't understand that. I know T. Higgins hasn't eclipsed 55 yards in like 4 or 5 straight games, but there's no Tyler Boyd out there to be taking targets. And Alex Erickson sure as hell ain't going to be taking the majority of those targets away. And Drew Sample isn't going to be running deep down the field. T. Higgins has been seeing like some of the most air yards per week since he's kind of been propelled into this starting role. And then AJ Green, he played over 90% of the snaps in each of the last 4 weeks. So this is going to be a very funneled offense to AJ and T. Higgins. And for them to have only a combined 90 yards total as their prop, I think that's ridiculous and almost easy money.
Yep. A Seahawks line is basically it's crazy. So the Seahawks went from -2 to -1, but the Seahawks are getting 57% of the bets and 77% of the money. That makes no sense to me. I think that might be a game to avoid.
That game is difficult to kind of tell. I mean, you're looking at two teams that play each other extremely well, and with the game being played in Seattle, it's probably going to be raining. I think I saw. I more love the under in this game now. With that being said,
yeah. All right. Let's see. I'm going to ask you some questions. So, let's see here. Brain is not functioning. I'm just worried that I need to win. I need to win. I need to be hosting that trophy. That big old trophy sitting behind me. What do you guys play for, Brian? Do you guys have a physical trophy in your fantasy leagues?
Yes, we have a Lombardi trophy that has all the plaques of the team names, and then there's another trophy that is it's an armchair quarterback trophy.
Yep.
It's a bobblehead.
And then we got a full size wrestling belt, like boxing belt.
Nice.
Yeah, the problem is the guy who won last year, or I guess it's been 2 years ago now. It lives in Alabama.
Oh,
and with the whole global pandemic, we couldn't get it back for the draft this year. and so it's still in Alabama. And so when I win, I think I'm going to use all of my money that I win to expedite the shipping here.
Get it shipped. That's interesting. So in my league, in the two leagues that I play in, the champion gets to hold the trophy for the duration of the entire next season until the next champion is awarded.
That's how we do it. But because of the pandemic, it stayed in Alabama and didn't make it to the one who won last year.
Oh, so you won last year?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, somebody else. So, yeah. So I don't know. It's been interesting. So, yeah, we all get together, and so the trophy comes with us, and we we're able to move it around. But yeah, that's another story. Okay, let's see what else. So, what other things are we betting today? Because
I'm trying to bet J.K. Dobbins rush yards prop over right now, but it seems like they're trying to adjust it on the fly because of the news of Mark Ingram being ruled out.
Should we be betting the Gus Edwards over?
He's only sitting at 39.5 right now.
JK?
No, Gus Edwards.
Oh, yeah, no, Bovada's definitely tinkering right now.
Dobbins is chilling at 63.5, which that's almost like just giving me free money there. Kind of like yesterday with Tom Brady's touchdown props, only 2.5.
What happened there? That game.
Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
All right, what other ones I was looking at? Oh, so I do like Melvin Gordon today. I wrote him up in the article. I think that this is a great spot for him against the Chargers, who have been surrendering a lot of rush yards recently, a lot of touchdowns to running backs. No Phillip Lindsay.
Score because we bet Melvin Gordon to score a touchdown last time and it didn't go well.
I think he's going to find the end zone at least once today. It's a pace-up spot too for the Chargers.
Well, and if we think Denver can keep it close and potentially win the game, then he will be a lot more involved, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then like Gordon's receptions prop is sitting at 2.5. And I think the last time that Phillip Lindsay was out against the Chargers, Gordon had 6 receptions against them, as their linebackers suck at covering running backs out of the backfield.
J.K. Dobbins over 8.5 receiving yards. How do we feel about that? Do you think
that's a tough one, but he might get only 1 reception, but I think it's easily attainable. So that's a bet that I make almost every week on Derrick Henry, is his receiving yards prop, because all it takes is 1 and for the battering ram to get 6 yards. But the problem is he only sees 1 to 2 targets a game.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting to check in on any of the Tony Pollard props today as well, because I know Zeke
63.5 pound the over, right?
For Dobbins. Oh yeah, I think that's child's play.
Yeah, the one thing I have noticed this year is on props that they seem to go a lot better. Man, the under is getting pounded in the Giants-Ravens game. That scares me. It feels like the right side, but then it also feels like, remember the game against Cleveland where all of a sudden it just opened up and they scored like 80 points combined?
Well, I feel like it's people just thinking that Baltimore is going to completely shut down the Giants and kind of throttle down their offense. But when Baltimore's offense is rolling, they produce some of the most big play potential in the NFL, because teams have to come up in the box to defend against the run, and then they can be hit over top.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm taking Jacksonville plus the 8.5. Have we updated our pick sheet for the week? I don't know that I did.
I don't know if I did mine.
I have mine. I think I have mine written down somewhere, so we're good. But
let's see. Yes. And what's the juice looking like on the Titans game right now, Kyle?
Let's take a look. Titans plus 3. 3 plus 105.
Damn.
155.
See, I don't. Now that they're, especially because they're chilling at plus money with the 3 points, I think I'll be going even heavier on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go. Just got my J.K. Dobbins bet in. Booyah.
There you go. A.J. Brown, 52.5 for his receiving yards. How you about like your boy Alan Lazard over 54.5?
I do like that a lot. He's seen his playing time increase each of the last 3 weeks. He's seems to be getting back to full health here.
Titans secondary is doo-doo. That could be one pass and be fine.
Yes, and you know that they're going to do everything possible, anything that's possible to try to stop Adams.
Devontae Adams is going to get his no matter what. So let's focus on literally everyone else. Let's stop Robert Tonyan from scoring another touchdown.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because a lot of teams will do that and just allow Adams to do his thing, and then
Derrick Henry's rushing total is 112.5.
That is ridiculous. But the Packers are terrible. Yeah. The Packers are absolutely terrible against the run. Let me look this up real quick. So the Packers.
But see, I feel like if you like Derrick Henry, you should find a way to like tease it with the Titans money line, or at least Titans plus the points.
Oh yeah, if Derrick Henry goes off today, I like them to win. Okay, let me see this. So the Packers have allowed let's see, where is this? Oh, that's for this season. Let's go the last 5 weeks.
How do you feel about fading Zach Pascal?
I don't know what to do with that damn passing game. It seems every week it's a different guy. First it was T.Y. Hilton. I kept thinking that first it was Michael Pittman Jr., and then it was T.Y. Hilton the last couple weeks, and then last week it was Zach Pascal. I don't know what to do with them. They disgust me. All right, so actually the Packers the last couple weeks, they've done pretty well against running backs. Last week they only allowed 82 yards to the Panthers. Detroit, they held down the 34, but did give up 2 touchdowns. Philly, they didn't give up anything, but that was Jalen Hurts' breakout late in the game. And then prior to that, they had allowed 4 of their previous 5 to go over 100. And where they're getting murdered right now is in the passing game. 6-6-6-8-3-6. In their last 6 games, the amount of receptions allowed to running backs, and 30 or more yards in every single one of those games.
That's interesting, because that's not really a Derrick Henry thing. Maybe they get Darrington Evans or, I don't know, somebody involved today.
Yeah, the Titans are a different animal. All right, we got a couple questions here. We got Kareem Hunt or Chris Carson in a full PPR league.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I got to go Kareem Hunt. This offense is going to be Hunt, Chubb, and Hooper pretty much the entire day, with a sprinkling of the other tight ends.
We're just talking about the mess that is Indy. T.Y. Hilton. We have Zeke, and then we have Mike Williams. So I think you play Hilton and Zeke, and then you wait for that news to come. And if
I don't know how you can trust Zeke at this stage of the season. I mean, you've likely made it this far without any production from Ezekiel Elliott, so I find it hard that you're going to trust him to produce any sort of fantasy championship type points in a championship week, especially with how good Tony Pollard looked in week 15. I don't think that this is going to be just handed back over to Elliott. I think he's kind of faded out of the passing game as well. So I'm actually going T.Y. and Mike Williams in this spot.
I like it. Just avoid that nonsense completely.
I actually like Tony Pollard over Zeke this week.
Oh, okay.
Philly is tough against the ground game, and the only way that you're able to really beat them with running backs is through the air. And Tony Pollard is, it's not even close as how much better he is in the passing game right now.
2 questions for you. How do we feel about Michael Gallop? I'm looking at some player props for him.
I bet his yards over for sure. 38 and a half. He's the downfield guy, yes.
Okay.
Not seeing Darius Slay. Slay is going to be locked in on Amari Cooper. So he's likely getting Avonte Maddox or one of the other bums the Eagles have on the outside.
Tony Pollard's receiving yards is 10.5.
See, that's another one. That's like they're assuming that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be playing his traditional every down role. And if Dallas is smart, which they're really not, Ezekiel Elliott should be, see maybe half the snaps in this game.
What about Miles Sanders, the over receiving yards?
I don't know. He hasn't really been utilized in games where they're winning. And this is a game where it's going to be close. There's no way Dallas is going to jump out to a big lead, maybe a 1-score lead. And Jalen Hurts seems to be, instead of dumping it off, he's running, especially for a rookie quarterback. And he's leaning on the tight ends less so than the running backs.
I like where your head's at. I gotta put all these into my app. Track them throughout the day.
Where did you find the Tony Pollard receiving?
Go on the app and you go to the game itself.
Oh.
That's where I always go look for props.
All right, we got another question here. Standard: Zeke, Pollard, Darrell Henderson, or Ito Smith? Woo!
Zeke, but I think having Zeke and Pollard, you just play whoever. If Zeke's active, you play him. Pollard's active, you play him. I mean, if Zeke's not active, you play Pollard.
Yeah, I think Ito Smith is definitely not the play here. Atlanta running backs have, I think, totaled. They're averaging less than like 50 total yards per game over the last 5 or 6 weeks. And, I think right now you have Darrell Henderson in your lineup. And like Kyle said, if Zeke is ruled an inactive, you're putting in Tony Pollard.
Yep. Like Darrell Henderson's nice and Seattle's not very good, but like I think I'd rather take. Well, let me look at something because that Philly defense is pretty solid, but the way I don't know, the Niners defense is pretty solid, and he ran all over them.
Well, I mean, he did have a 40-yard touchdown run, which definitely helped that.
Yeah,
because he was kind of bottled up for the majority of the game, and the fact that Dallas didn't really try to establish the run in that game.
So Aaron Jones back in week 13 had 130 yards, but they held Alvin Kamara to 50 yards, and they held the Cardinals to like 70 yards. Yeah, they haven't been that good. Kamara had 94 yards total. Let's see. Before then, Chris Carson only had 41. Let's see. Nick Chubb had 114 yards. I don't know. They've been fine. Nothing special. I think. Oh, that's a good question. Would you rather start Pittsburgh against the Colts or Chicago against the Mike Glennons? If Chicago's on the road.
I'm going against the grain. I'm going Pittsburgh, man.
Yeah.
Indianapolis is minus their best. They're both of their starting tackles.
Yeah.
Against the NFL leading sack team.
The Steelers defense is good. Like despite what we saw last week. Brian, that's the other thing I was going to ask you. I was looking at Super Bowl odds, and the Steelers are like 20-something to 1 to win the Super Bowl because of their last 3 games. Ooh. I feel like if you're going to jump on that, this would be the week, right? Because if we expect them to win, let me see, NFL specials.
I do worry about their ability in a game against the Kansas City, who, if you play that aggressive against the Chiefs and you're blitzing Patrick Mahomes with Tyree Kill on the outside, and unless you have, a lockdown, shut down corner, which Joe Hayden has kind of lost a step, there's no way they're going to stop Tyree Kill and Travis Kelce.
Okay. 4 teams to win the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh is 20. The Colts 5-1. Cleveland 43-1.
I go Cleveland. As disgusting as that sounds, I'm starting to come around on this team.
I remember what I was listening to. Is like one of the best opportunities to actually stop Kansas City. They can run the ball to keep Mahomes on the sidelines. Their defense is in. I don't trust their back end quite enough. But they can do a lot of little things that could make things really interesting. Be a team that takes them out.
Yeah, I do like the Browns' possibility of going into the playoffs because of what they do on offense. They resemble the Titans a little bit of last year with probably slightly less big play ability on the outside. And I don't trust Baker Mayfield as much as I do Ryan Tannehill, because Tannehill had been kind of doing it for longer. But with that rushing attack, and as long as they stay away from the COVID, I think that they have as good a shot as any of these teams, especially with a Myles Garrett rushing the quarterback as good as he has been.
Yeah. Trying to see if there's any other big news dropping before we get out of here. So I can make some breakfast. Okay, so Adam Schefter. Oh, never mind. Adam Schefter tweeted WFT, Washington Football Team. And I thought it was what WTF, and I was like very confused. So Dwayne Haskins is starting.
Yes. All right, we got another question here. 2 QB league. Already played Tom Brady. Daniel Jones or Brandon Allen? Give me Brandon Allen out of the two.
I trust. Man, I trust Brandon Allen to be more reliable. So maybe because
no Dwayne Haskins. Sorry, that was the follow up.
No Dwayne Haskins.
No.
I think since you got a monster day from Brady, I would play Daniel Jones. Like if turnovers are really costly and you don't want that, you want safety. Brandon Allen is probably the play against that Houston defense. But Daniel Jones could run. He could do a few things. He could actually have like a solid day. But yeah, with that big game from Brady, it's probably better just to play Brandon Allen.
Daniel Jones is like a mirror image of Mitchell Trubisky. You think that he's gonna do all these special things, and then he's gonna use the ball to hold himself up and fumble it while he's doing that.
Yep.
So
and then you bet against for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, and then you're like crying yourself to sleep at night.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that is a perfect comp. A quarterback that went probably too high, does enough that makes you think that there could be something there, but also falls flat on his face far too often. That is a great comp.
Yeah, and real quick, I just saw this on Twitter here by James Coe.
By Brandon Allen.
Yes, by @JamesCo. The Titans have allowed the second most receptions and the 4th most yards to wide receivers lined up inside per Next Gen Stats. Lazard plays 60% of his snaps on the inside.
All right, here we go. Betting on
and he's Lazard. And if you're looking at a DFS play, he's only $4,200 today in a pace up game, regardless of whether it's a 53 total right now with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback.
Why am I betting? This is what week 16 has come to. I'm betting Alan Lazard props.
Oh man, don't you just love football?
Oh, it's the best. It's just the best. Okay, it's 9:30. I think I'm gonna make some breakfast. I'm gonna get myself mentally prepared for a arduous day, but I think I can survive.
Yes.
Good luck in week 16, Brian. Good luck with your bets. Good luck with your fantasy team. Hopefully we can talk about your fantasy championship on Tuesday,
You as
Monday.
well.
Um,
And everyone else out there. Good luck today.
Yep, and we will. We're trying to figure out a content schedule for the off season. So if you have thoughts or feelings or stuff you'd like to see, let us know. We'll try and get some guests on, recap kind of what we saw this year, kind of how to play it going forward, and come up with some different stuff to talk about. So appreciate everybody hopping on. Appreciate everybody joining. We'll talk to y'all next time.